Today's video is part of the Card Crafters Collaborative. This little theme is called Autumn is Calling, and I created this really soft fall card. Hey everyone, it's Joy here, and welcome to my channel. This card is inspired by Kristina Werner, and I had watched some of her videos. I don't usually tend to watch other people's videos, but I needed some ideas for watercoloring for a different project, and I just happened to see that she made a project like this. She did it with squares and she did it with watercolors, but I'm going to be doing it with Distressed Ink. So the images that I'm using are from Honeybee Stamps Loads of Fall stamp set. I don't need the coordinating die for it, but it has a pumpkin image, a barrel of apples, sunflowers, and greenery. I'm using Distressed Oxide Inks to paint. I'm going to ink this up with clear embossing ink on white cardstock. I'm going to be using white embossing powder, so we're going to do an emboss resist, which is always fun. And I'm going to use the inks like watercolor. So here I sprinkled on my white embossing powder. I did prep my cardstock with an anti-static powder tool, and I'm going to heat this until it melts. I'm also going to have the links to the other two people that are doing this fun crafters collaborative video. I'm going to call it a video hop, but it's not really a hop. And I have this rectangular die from the Sweet Stacks rectangles from Honeybee Stamps, and I'm going to line it up where I'm just getting partial images that I've done the embossing. I'm going to take my pencil and just trace this around the outside edge. This is what I watched Kristina Werner do, and it makes sense. So that way you're going to kind of paint up to those pencil lines, and it's bigger than your die cut area, so then you can die cut inside. I want to give a shout out to Robin Marshall Clark, the Delta Crafter. She's the one who hosts this, and we do this a few times a year, and this might be the third year that I've done it with her, definitely at least the second, and I just want to say thank you because it's always a good time. I'm going to start with Rusty Hinge Distressed Oxide Ink, and I'm going to use this to paint the pumpkin, and so you will see the white embossing when it starts to, when I paint the ink over the top. I'm dipping my watercolor brush in the water and then going into my ink. I am using less water at the bottom because I want it to be darker, and more water blended into that ink when I want to go lighter. I'm going to blend it up a little bit more, and then I'm going to dip my brush with not really water on it, but the brush is wet, and dip it into that Rusty Hinge, and now I'm going to paint inside of those pumpkin lines so that way the pumpkin images stand out more, and then the background has this gradient look. So when I watched Kristina Werner, you know, she does watercolors and she just understands how colors work, and she was like matching colors, and I mean it was amazing and it was beautiful, but I just really liked the simplicity of it, but it looks so beautiful when it's done, so I thought it'd be fun to do this for this fall card. The next color that I am using is Forest Moss. I'm going to be doing the leaves. No, I'm lying. Let me back up. This is Scattered Straw. I'm so sorry. And I'm going to be doing the sunflowers. So again, I want to go darker at the bottom and lighter at the top. So we're going to have that kind of ombre gradient look. And then I'm going to go in darker without wetting my brush again because it's already moist, so I can paint in the flowers. And of course this is emboss resist, so it's just so easy to kind of paint in there because the embossing powder resists the ink and your paper behind it is going to grab it. I am just using regular paper. I'm not using watercolor paper because I'm not using a ton of water. But you could use watercolor paper. And I do have everything listed and linked for you guys below in the description. Then this color is Victorian Velvet. This was like my surprise color in my fall theme. I've been trying to kind of get out of my box of colors I typically do all the time. And I've had a lot of fun this fall with picking different colors, and I just think this is so pretty. And look at that barrel of apples. This actually, these images go inside the I can't remember the name of the truck, but the truck stamp and die from Honeybee Stamps. But these are perfect images for just getting little snippets of them in our little rectangular areas. The last color is Forest Moss. And this is going to be the greenery. So again, starting darker at the bottom. So less water on the brush. And then that part that I was already blending, I'm just adding more water to it to dilute that color. And then it gets lighter as I go up to the top. And then I just brush my paintbrush off on a paper towel if I have a little too much water or a little too much color as I'm moving up. And then I'm going to take that darker color and fill that into the leaves. But I do actually paint this one more time and bring some more color up because it just was a little light there. So wiping off that color, adding more water really to get that diluted and bringing that up to the top. Then I'm going to use some Distressed Spritz on this background. I let it dry a little bit, but I'm going to use the fossilized amber, and this is going to give it just a little bit of shimmer shine on the back. And then once that's dry, I'm going to take that same rectangle die from the Sweet Stacks rectangles from Honeybee Stamps, and I'm just going to place it inside my pencil lines, and I can die cut all 4 of these images. So some are two are sideways or horizontal, 2 are vertical. But look at how pretty they are. I just think they're so, so, so pretty. So thank you, Kristina Werner, for having such a great idea with this. Like I said, she used squares, but I did not have a square like infinity die. So I think I need to get one in my stash is what I think I need to do. Okay, now that we have that done, I want to create some texture on my background piece. So I am going to use Tailored Expressions Checking In Background, and it's this tiny little plaid checker that's on the diagonal, so it looks like little diamonds, and I am going to stamp that on a piece of white cardstock with clear embossing ink, and I'm going to do white embossing powder. I want the texture, I don't want color. You could also use like an embossing folder or a 3D embossing folder or something like that, but I'm just going to keep going with the embossing powder because that's what I have on my work surface, and I really love that checking in background. So I'm going to heat that up with my heat tool, and then we can get this card put together. I'm going to be using sentiments from Honeybee Stamps, the Inside Thankful Sentiments. I'm going to use the stamp and coordinating die. Lots of thankful sentiments. You know, usually this time of year we tend to be a little more thankful, and so that's the sentiments I am going to use. I will use my Misty to stamp those. But I do want to trim this down slightly smaller than an A2 size. I'm not going to trim off a ton, maybe 1/8 of an inch, one side and the top. So in my Misty, I have my white cardstock, and I'm going to get the sentiment that says thank you. And then the sentiment that says, I'm so grateful for the gift of your friendship. I'm going to stamp that with black ink, and then I can use the coordinating dies to die cut those out. And I'm just thankful I have my Misty because I can just kind of double stamp and really get a nice, good, crisp inking with my black ink from Honeybee Stamps. I'm going to stamp that one more time. Well, no, 3 times. You know what? I had one little spot on there that was not stamping good, so I had to stamp it multiple times. I think I need to re-ink it again. I'm going to tape down those die cuts and run that through my die cut machine. I'm going to add some foam adhesive behind the sentiments. I already have foam adhesive behind my little rectangular pieces here, and I do have them laid out, and now I'm just going to start adhering them to that background. And the background is already adhered to a white A2 size card base. And remember, when you're done here, go to the links to the other ladies on that are part of this like video hop, and check out their inspiration, because this is just a fun way to give extra inspiration and get other people involved, and I love it. Let's take a look at this up close. Look at that texture on the background. Look at the sparkle from the Distressed Spritz, and then of course the Resist Emboss. The Emboss Resist, and the beautiful colors. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you enjoyed this project, and I hope you have a great day.